are 244 kids in foster care in Marion, Monroe, and Rawls counties in Missouri, but not enough homes.
And that's why there was an event in Hannibal tonight aimed at changing that. And WGEM's Rebecca Duffy is here now. So, Rebecca, was this a success?
Yes, Daniel and Mackenzie, there were around 30 people who attended a foster care info night in Hannibal to get more information about taking in or supporting children in foster care. The event was hosted by numerous foster care agencies, Coyote Hill, Embrace, Foster Adopt Connect, and the court-appointed Special Advocates Program. There are only 111 licensed foster homes in Marion, Monroe, and Rawls counties, which is about half the number of foster children in the area. Coyote Hill Licensing and Training Director Amy Kingery says the purpose of the event was to make a change for the foster kids who need support.
There are so many kiddos that are coming in for various reasons, abuse and neglect, and they do have so many needs. And so we really want to have more than enough foster homes. A goal would be to have one foster home for every foster child.
Representatives at the event also talked about foster kids' needs for more court representation, as well as free resources for foster families. People left with papers about how to get licensed. And if you missed tonight's event, we will have Coyote Hill's contact information on our website. Rebecca Duffy, WGEM News.
Thank you, Rebecca. And here's more information about fostering requirements. You must be at least 21 years old, and you have to pass multiple criminal and child abuse background checks. You do need to have a stable income and be willing to participate in a free training and assessment process.